Welcome, Denise, and thank you for speaking with APTN. What is your reaction to the Minister of Justice reapproving Graham's 2007 extradition to the United States?
Well, our family has been at this for a long time. This December, it'll be 50 years that we've been campaigning for justice for my mom. And, in the steps of our journey, certainly considered to be a form of justice. But, at the end of the day, this is something that we've carried for a long time. So I can't say it's something that's to celebrate. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah, that's a good choice on words there. Graham has appealed his extradition numerous times. How did that impact your fight for justice for your mother?
I think, it took us almost 6 years to get him into court through that extradition process. And, going through almost a decade of trials to get a conviction, certainly to go back and have, the process of bringing him to be accountable in question certainly didn't make sense to our family after there was a ruling and, he was convicted through a jury of his peers, that it didn't make sense to us to be talking about a process that had nothing to do with his innocence or guilt, but was really about his ability to be accountable and be held accountable. So for our family, it was the back and forth of always reopening that wound and always feeling like we were at the mercy of, a political arena that we didn't quite understand how it was entrenched in any kind of form of justice.
This kind of ties into what you were just saying, but how much do you hope this is the end of any legal wranglings on behalf of John Graham?
Well, I have to say for our family, it wasn't really about the legal process, it was about justice. And justice can come in many forms. This is something as many women, and I know you have personal experience in this, when you're doing missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls work, and you are a family member of that, it's not a club you get to exit. It's not something you get to leave. It is something we carry for the rest of our lives. So I would say not definitely any kind of, finite process to us. The journey and the struggle will continue as long as our women are continuing to go missing and murdered, and our girls are at risk and our women are at risk. This is something that I'll carry probably to my grave.
South Dakota's Attorney General Marty Jackley called this decision a victory for MMIWG. Do you agree with that, and why?
I agree with him that it is a victory. I wouldn't say a victory like, usually there's a win because the win will never come for us. My mother is never going to come. The only win I could see is her coming back, and that's not happening. But I would say certainly a step towards justice for not just my mom, but for many missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and understanding that perseverance, and despite almost 5 decades, a woman was still able to achieve some form of justice in holding those accountable who took her life.
I just want to say thank you for your time today, Denise.
Thank you very much, Tiara.